Hi, welcome back to Truth Fairy Tidbits. I am the Truth Fairy, and I am here to feed you little tidbits of information that you normally probably wouldn't look at if you are still of the statist mindset. By that meaning that you still believe in government, voting, the system works, all that such nonsense. So, if you haven't been here before, go back and start at the beginning of my videos so that you understand what I'm doing here and you can get caught up. And there's the frog. Awesome. Okay, so exciting day. We're going to finish this book. It's going to be a little bit more reading, but as always, I will try to go quickly. And then I'll give you a little summary book report at the end and just kind of put it all together, catch up with the basic points. So please like and subscribe and all of that stuff. Thanks. Okay. Try to go quick. And we're going to finish up with No Treason, Constitution of No Authority. It's a great book. It's cheap on Amazon. Like I said, I've skimmed through. I didn't read every single word of every single page. So if what I'm reading here was of interest to you and you want to read the whole book, it's cheap. It's like $7. I honestly think that every kid in high school should get this book. It should be mandatory reading, but they control the schools and the curriculum, and that might lead to kids using their brain, and they don't want that. So, all right, here we go. Let's see how long the frog wants to hang out. Okay, here we go. We professed long ago to have learned that governments could rightfully exist only by the free will and on the voluntary support of those who might choose to sustain them. We all profess to have known long ago that the only legitimate objects of government were the maintenance of liberty and the justice equally for all. I thought my dog was going to jump on me, but she turned around. Cool. All this we had professed for nearly 100 years, and we professed to look with pity and contempt upon those ignorant, superstitious, and enslaved peoples of Europe who were so easily kept in subjection by the frauds and force of priests and kings. Notwithstanding all this, we had learned and known and professed for nearly a century. These lenders of blood money had, for a long series of years previous to the war, been the willing accomplices of the slaveholders in perverting the government from the purposes of liberty and justice to the greatest of crimes. And now these lenders of blood money demand their pay, and the government becomes their tool to extort it from the labor of the enslaved people, both of the North and the South. In short, the industrial and commercial slavery of the great body of the people, North and South, black and white, is the price which these lenders of blood money demand in return for the money lent for the war. They put their sword into the hands of the chief murderer of the war, and now he speaks as their organ, and says, "Let us have peace." The meaning of this is, submit quietly to all the robbery and slavery we have arranged for you, and you can have peace. But in the case you resist, the same lenders of blood money, who furnish the means to subdue the South, will furnish the means again to subdue you. These are the terms on which alone this government gives peace to its people. The whole affair on the part of those who furnish the money has been and now is deliberate scheme of robbery and murder. Congress and the president are today the merest tools for these purposes. They dare not say nay to any demand made upon them, and to hide both their servility and their crimes, an attempt to divert public attention by crying out that they have abolished slavery, that they have saved the country, and that now, in paying the national debt, as they call it, as if the people themselves had really involuntarily joined in contracting it, they are simply maintaining the national honor. Think about that, to divert public attention. That's pretty much all they do. That's what the news cycle is. That's what the media does. They make up these stories and divert your attention so you don't understand that this is all what's really going on. There is no difference in principle, but only in degree, between the slavery they boast to have abolished and the slavery they were fighting to preserve, for all restraints upon men's natural liberty are of the nature of slavery, and differ from each other only in degree. If their object had really been to abolish slavery or maintain liberty or justice generally, they had only to say, all, whether black or white, who want protection of this government shall have it, and all who do not want it will be left in peace, so long as they leave us in peace. Had they said this, slavery would necessarily have been abolished at once. It would have been a voluntary union of free men, such a union as will one day exist among all men all over the world, if the several nations, so-called, shall ever get rid of the usurpers, robbers, and murderers called governments that now plunder, enslave, and destroy them. Another of the frauds of these men that they are now establishing, and that the war was designed to establish, a government of consent. The only idea they ever manifested as to what a government of consent is this: that is one to which everybody must consent or be shot. They call this saving the country, as if an enslaved and subjugated people could be said to have any country. This too they are calling preservation, or preserving our glorious union, as if there could be said here we go. As if there could be said to be any union that was not voluntary, or as if there could be said to be any union between masters and slaves. All these cries of having abolished slavery, of having saved the country, of having preserved the union, of establishing a government of consent, and of maintaining the national honor are all gross, shameless, transparent cheats, so transparent that they ought to deceive no one, yet they do. When uttered as justifications for the war, or for the government that has succeeded the war, or for now compelling people to pay the cost of war, or for compelling anybody to support government that it does not want. The lesson taught by these facts is this: as long as mankind continue to pay national debts, so-called, so long there will be enough to lend the money for those purposes, and with that money, plenty of tools called soldiers can be hired to keep them in subjection. But when they refuse any longer to thus being cheated, plundered, enslaved, and murdered, they will cease to have cheats and usurpers and robbers and murderers and blood money, loan-mongering masters. Okay, final quick word. Inasmuch as the Constitution was never signed nor agreed to by anybody as a contract, and therefore never bound anybody, and is now binding upon nobody, moreover, no people can ever hereafter be expected to consent to it. The Constitution is no such instrument as it has generally been assumed to be, but that by false interpretations and naked usurpations, the government has made in practice and very widely, and oh my God, so close, so close. All right, okay. The Constitution is no such instrument as it generally has been assumed to be, but that by false interpretations and naked usurpations, the government has been made in practice a very widely and almost wholly different thing from what the Constitution itself purports to authorize. But whether the Constitution really be one thing or another, this much is certain, that it either has authorized such a government as we have had, or it has been powerless to prevent it. In either case, it is unfit to exist. Okay, I got through it. All right, so that was the book. I hope somebody learned something, and at least, I mean, it's all just logic and reason. So I know a lot of people can't handle that these days. So I made some book report notes. So we'll go over this real quick just to tie it all together. So basically what we've learned, government, a true, whatever you want to call government, can only really exist by individual voluntary consent, okay? Each individual voluntarily understanding what they're consenting to, agreeing to it, signing the contract, if you want to call it the Constitution. Everybody should get a copy of the signed contract. Everybody should know who else signed the contract. And everybody should be personally responsible for what you entered into and what you have that government doing on your behalf that you consented to. Because if they go fuck with somebody who doesn't want to be fucked with, you should be held personally responsible because you contracted them, okay? Makes sense. The people who do not want to be part of the government and do not consent should be left alone. It's that simple. Whatever rules and shit you come up with in your government should apply to you because you're the one that consented to them. You can't make up rules for my life, then secretly hire a band of murderers and robbers to come take my money and force me to do things that you think ought to be done. It's pretty simple logic, right? Okay, consent. Being born here is not consent. Somehow everybody thinks it is. You're born in this country, you automatically have all of these rules applied to you. That's just fucking retarded, okay? Makes no sense. Never did make any sense to me. Extortion for taxes is also not consent. Taxes, nobody pays taxes voluntarily. You're extorted. You're paying them because if you don't, they're going to take your money anyway or might throw you in a cage if you don't pay them. That's not consent. Cool? Got it. Voting is also not consent. Voting is aggression. Just because you vote in hopes that your side will get some things that it wants done by the band of robbers and murderers called government and subdue the other side and take more of their stuff to do the things that you want, that's aggression. That is not consent. Just because your option is vote red or blue, that's your only choice, that doesn't mean you're consenting to, there is no side. So you're consenting to the robbers and murderers that are government. Okay? Not consent. What else did we learn? Governments are just puppets in the first place. So voting is stupid. It's a stupid circus that they use to keep you stupid. That's it. They're puppets of the people who fund them. Okay, so we can take it down. So you got, like he explained, the Rothschilds. They fund wars, which keeps everybody scared and subjugated, and then they tax you as collateral to pay back the loans for the wars. And basically all it's doing, they're extorting and robbing us for collateral for the loans for the people that pay to keep them thinking that they have power. Okay, we can take it down from there because that's getting into conspiracy theory territory, right? There's the evil group of Rothschilds and all the other people that are like doing the puppet strings and stuff. That's basically true. We'll get into that a little bit later, but let's just take it down a level. The people who fund political elections to get people elected, millions and billions of dollars get poured into election cycles for candidates, right? So you have, of course, I can't think of a specific one now, but and I can't say the one name of the majority of people who fund it, but you know who I'm talking about. So they give King Pedo however many $100 million for his campaign, right? Why do they do that, do you think? Why do they give so much money? They're already rich. They already can do whatever the fuck they want. Why do they give so much money to one person to try to get that person into this position of supposed power? Could it be that they expect something or a bunch of things to be done in their favor when that person gets put into power? Okay. Could that be it? Yeah, maybe. So if you pay attention to who actually funds these elections and then watch what happens, I mean, it's really easy to go back through King Pedo's, who was funding him, and what's been done since he got in there. And it's all in favor of the same people that gave him money. Isn't that amazing? Mainly think Silicon Valley and that sort of thing. So anyway, it works on that level, and then it extrapolates from there to who's really in control and who has all the power. And then think how dumb it is to be down on this level and we're going, yay, Trump, he's gonna save the world because my one little vote means something, and I donated $100 to help him get in there, and he's gonna do stuff for me. Y'all, I can't. Please figure this out, guys. Okay, final point. The system is never going to be fixed, okay? The system is working exactly as it was designed to work. And I've said it before, if voting could change the system, they wouldn't let you do it, all right? The system is set up this way for a reason. It's to keep us down here and keep them up there. This is how it keeps the few controlling the many. People can't seem to understand how that could be possible because you're complying to it every 4 years or every other 2 years with your other stupid little voting circus. Voting harder, getting the right people in, use a system. Like, none of that does it. It just keeps us doing this little fucking dance over here. While they're over here doing horrible, horrible, evil shit. And you're over here worried about gas prices and how to get the right people in. Getting it yet? Cool. All right, we're done with that book. Yay! And we're going to move on to Larkin Rose's book, The Most Dangerous Superstition. And it's going to be really exciting because he does a really good job of explaining voluntarism and the myth of authority and why we all continue to do this stupid little circle dance over here, because we believe in authority and we've been programmed that way. Okay. All right. This one got a little long, so I'm going to jump off. Here I go. Okay. Thanks for hanging out. And as always, do not comply. Bye.